פרשת בו, בעזרת השם נעשה ונצליח והשם עלינו ברחמיו ירוויח. ויאמר אדוני אל משה בוא אל פרעה כי אני הכבדתי את ליבו ואת לב עבדיו למען שיתי אותותיי אלה בקרבו. Many of the מפרשים explain, and I'm going to bring today the commentary of the Rabbi Yaakov Baal HaTurim, that born in Germany 749 years ago, and he says, in the word bo, there is a hint to us for what's going to happen in a parsha. What does it mean? Say Rabbi Yaakov Baal HaTurim that the word bo, the gematria of the word bo is Aleph is 1, Bet is 2. That means the total gematria is 3, to tell us that here HaKadosh Baruch Hu planning to bring another 3 plagues on Egypt, and then Bnei Israel will be released from slavery. But the Rabbi Mikutzak, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Morgenstern, he born in Poland 231 years ago, and he said, why is the Torah saying, Bo el Paro? It should say, go to Pharaoh. Because the right word to say is to go to someone. You don't come to someone, you go into someone. So Rabbi Menachem Mendel Morgenstern explained like this. And he gave him 2 different explanations why it's been mentioned or why it's been written in the Torah, come to Pharaoh, Bo el Paro. So the first explanation that Rabbi Menachem Mendel Morgenstern explained that the main reason that the Torah say Bo el Paro, come to Pharaoh, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the entire world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge of all the world. Not only that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is everywhere. And it's not nice to say, go to Pharaoh. That means to go away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, the Torah tells us, come to Pharaoh. The other explanation that the Rebbe Mikutzak explained, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu, you and me together will go to Pharaoh. That's me. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu, come with me to Moshe Rabbeinu, and we will handle him together. That means the main reason that it said Bo el Paro, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Rabbeinu gone together to fix Pharaoh. Later on in the parsha it says, Ki ani echbadeti et libo. Many of the Mefarshim say, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu have to harden the heart of Pharaoh? So I'm going to bring 2 different explanations. The first explanation comes from Rabbi Aaron HaLevin. Rabbi Aaron HaLevin born 139 years ago in Galicia, and he, in his book Hadrash Ve'ayun, there he explained that HaKadosh Baruch Hu have to harden the heart of Paro. And the reason for it is because if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't harden the heart of Pharaoh, wouldn't be the freedom of choice for Pharaoh. Why? Because we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought 10 plagues on Pharaoh. So as the first, the second, or the third plagues came, might Paro going to be softened, and then he will allow immediately the Bnei Israel to go. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, no, I'm going to harden his heart. I'm going to harden the heart of Pharaoh, that he will never have a chance just to say go. So it will be a fair, to give Pharaoh a fair chance to have the freedom of choice to decide to go, to let Bnei Israel go or not. That's why it said, V'ani echbadeti et libo. That Hazal explained that the main idea, Rabbi Aaron HaLevin explained that the main idea behind it was, by that HaKadosh Baruch Hu hardened in the heart of Pharaoh, it will be a level of basically to decide if he want to release Bnei Israel or not, according to the heaviest of the plagues. Ado, Rabbi Yehuda Lev, born in Poland 170 years ago, and he wrote the famous books Sfat Emet. And there he said, why did Akadosh Baruch Hu say, Ani achbadeti et libo? That means it sounds like Akadosh Baruch Hu actually proud on that he hardened the heart of Pharaoh. It sounds very strange. So say Rabbi Aryeh, like this. He say that from here we're learning the character trait of Akadosh Baruch Hu. Akadosh Baruch Hu given every human being a string to wake up in the morning, a string to go to work, the prosperity, the health, everything that the human being health come from Akadosh Baruch Hu. And say Akadosh Baruch Hu, I'm given Paro, the string, the prosperity, the power, the energy, to do everything that he can for the Jewish people. What does it mean? That Akadosh Baruch Hu given the energy to wicked people to go against his will, against his wish. Not only that, Akadosh Baruch Hu doing it to teach us something very important. That there is no human being on earth that people will do against his wish, and he will continue to support them. So here come Akadosh Baruch Hu and say, I'm giving Pharaoh all of that string, all of that energy, and not only that, I'm going to harden his heart to go against my wish, to harm Bnei Israel. Not only that, to put the Jewish people through slavery without releasing them, to go after Moshe, come and ask him to release them. So from here we see, say Rabbi Yehuda Lev, that only character trait like this can be only with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. No person will have such a patience and such energy to allow other people to go against his wish. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In chapter 10, verse 9, it says something very interesting. The Torah tells us, and it says like this, Vayomer Moshe, bin'arenu b'zkenenu nilech. Pharaoh asked Moshe Rabbeinu, who are the people that are going to leave Egypt to go to the wilderness for 3 days to worship HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Moshe Rabbeinu answered Pharaoh that we're going to go with our kids and with our elderly. And I'm going to bring two different explanations. Why did Moshe dafka say with our youth and with our elderly? So the Mefarshim explain very important thing. If we look forward in verse 11, we see that Pharaoh almost agreed to allow the middle-aged people to go. It said, Lochem lechuna agvarim, it means the man, that over the age of 20 until the age of 60. Pharaoh allowed them to go to worship HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the wilderness. So the question becomes, how come that Moshe Rabbeinu insists that the youths and the elderly will go? So the Mefarshim explain something extraordinary. The Mefarshim explain that Pharaoh asked the youths to stay in Egypt and the elderly. Why? Because he knew that if the people gonna leave between the age of 20 to the age of 60, nothing gonna be left anymore from the Jewish religion. What does it mean? That there is no one to direct the youth how to continue with Yiddishkeit. So therefore, come Moshe Rabbeinu and said to Pharaoh, we're going to leave not only with the middle age. When I say middle age, again, I repeat, to the age of 20 to 60, we're going to leave with the youths, those that younger than 20, and those that older than 60, for the simple reason that if we leave them behind, there is no more future for that generation. They don't know how to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In few years, all the heritage going to disappear. That's how the Mefarshim explain. Although, Rabbi Yaakov Baal HaTurim says something extraordinary. Rabbi Yaakov Baal HaTurim say, we know that Pharaoh asked Moshe Rabbeinu, Mi v'mi ha'olchim? Who and who those are going to go to the wilderness? And the Mefarshim ask, why does he have to repeat twice Mi v'mi, to say Mi v'mi? So, say Rabbi Yaakov Baal HaTurim like this. Here, Pharaoh, that was a bigger wizard, a witchcrafter, he saw in a star that from all of that generation that gonna go on Exodus to the wilderness, only 2 people will enter Eretz Israel. Mi v'mi. That's why he mentioned 2. And here referring to Yeshua bin Nun and Kalev ben Yefuneh. So he is saying to Moshe Rabbeinu, Pharaoh said to Moshe Rabbeinu, from all of that generation that you're planning to take out of Egypt, and you're planning to bring them to Eretz Israel, only 2 will merit to enter Eretz Israel from that generation. Say Rabbi Yaakov Baal HaTurim, that's the reason that Moshe Rabbeinu say to Pharaoh, Bin'arenu. What it means, Bin'arenu? Those are less than the age of 20, with them we're going to enter Eretz Israel. With them I want to go. Why? Because the Gemara in Masechet Baba Batra, in page Kuf Kaf Aleph, Amud Aleph, that's mean 121, folio 1, the Gemara tell us that those that was below the age of 20 and those was above the age of 60, those people merited to enter Eretz Israel. All the rest, except Caleb and Yoshua bin Nun, Caleb ben Yefuneh and Yoshua bin Nun, all of them die in the wilderness. So immediately Moshe Rabbeinu saw what Pharaoh referring to, and immediately answered him, Bin'arenu, those that are younger than the age of 20, and those that older than the age of 20, with those we're going to go, and with them we're going to inherit the land of Israel. Now we can understand why did Moshe Rabbeinu insist that with the young and with the youth. In verse 10, it says something very interesting. The Torah tells us that Pharaoh says something very interesting to Moshe Rabbeinu and to Aaron HaKohen. And what does he say? Vayomer alehem, yehi chen Adonai imachem, kaasher eshalach atchem, ve'et apechem, re'u ki ra'a neged penechem. Here we see that Pharaoh saying to Moshe and Aaron HaKohen that look, when you go to the wilderness, a sea and a star. We know that Pharaoh was also, beside being such a big witchcrafter and such a wizard, he was also looking at the star-like. That means that he was an astrologist. And he says, like this, and Rashi bring the Midrash Agedah, that Pharaoh said to Bnei Israel, to Moshe Rabbeinu and to Aaron HaKohen, I see in a star, that's a star of blood coming towards you. What it means, a star of blood? That means I see a bad luck coming towards you, and a lot of blood going to be spilled in the wilderness. And the Midrash explained that Pharaoh referring to the sin of Het HaEgel, as we know, that after Bnei Israel sinned by the golden calf, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to wipe them off. But Moshe Rabbeinu stood up and davened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu until HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgive Bnei Israel, and he says, Salachti kidvarecha, as it said there, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgive Bnei Israel, but the decree was still on Bnei Israel. What does it mean? That still blood supposed to be spilled in a wilderness. So the Midrash say, where does it happen? The Midrash say that the blood been spilled when Bnei Israel was ready to enter Eretz Israel. Just before they enter Eretz Israel, Yeshua bin Nun done a Brit Milah to all of those that was ready to have a Brit Milah. That means from 8 days, a person that was 8 days and upwards. And why is that? Because Hazal explained to us in the Midrash that while there was in a wilderness, HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't command them to have a Brit Milah, because while there was in a journey. So from here we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the end command Yeshua bin Nun when to do the Brit Milah just before Bnei Israel, enter Bnei Israel. So the Midrash say that what Pharaoh say is so true, but he didn't understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gonna change what he saw in the Starlak. And here we see what Hazal said, that Israel me'al hamazal. Israel, the Jewish people, they are above the Starlak like all the other nations. In verse 14, in chapter 10, in verse 14, here we're going to speak about the plague of the Arbe. And we see something very interesting. The Torah tells us, ויעל הארבה על כל ארץ מצרים, וינח בכל גבול מצרים, כבד מאוד לפניו לא היה כן הרבה, וכמוהו ואחריו לא יהיה כן. Here we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished the Egyptian with the plagues of the locusts. As you all know, that every plagues that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought on the Egyptian is midah keneged midah, a measure for measure. So we have to understand, number one, why Dafka HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought the plague of the locusts on Egypt. But before that, I would like to share with you some general knowledge regarding the locust. Hazal tell us, and the Mefarshim explain, that if you take the locust and you turn it on his stomach, you see the letter Het on his stomach, the shape of the letter Het on the stomach of the locust. And Hazal explained to us that that's representing the word Helot. Helot is an army, the army of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's mean, from here we're learning that the locust is one of the army of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But Hazal explained in the Midrash that, in telling us that the locust that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought on Egypt was number of different numbers of locusts. And I'm just going to bring a number of them, the name of them. One of them is the Arbe, the Yelek, the Hasil, the Gazam, and each one of them done a different job. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought this kind of a plague on an Egyptian. It's a measure for measure. And Hazal explained to us that the Egyptian forced the Jewish people to become now farmers, to farm and to plow, to harvest the field, the garden, the orchard, the vineyard of the Egyptian. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu say, you turning my children to become farmers, you forcing them with hard work to become farmers, I'll teach you a lesson. I'm going to send you someone, and he's referring to the plague of Arbe, that's going to destroy all what you force my children to do. And Hazal said that at the beginning come the Arbe and started slowly, and he eaten all the soft part, that means the grass. Later on, the harder one, that eaten the fruit, the wheat. Later on come another kind of Arbe that eaten the branches, and that's called the Gazam. What it means, the Gazam, that used to chop the tree and completely destroy the tree until nothing left to eat in Egypt. And Hazal say that another miracle happened in Makat Arbe. Makat Arbe, the Egyptian was happy after it's finished, because they was happy while it happened, because they caught few of the locusts and they pickled them. And when Makat Arbe finished, all those locusts that the Egyptian caught and pickled them in a jar disappear. That means that the plague of locusts completely disappear, and none of them stay, include those that been caught and been pickled by the Egyptian. That means that the Egyptian never have any benefit from the plague of Arbe. That's right. Let's continue. Let's go to verse 22. In verse 22, we're going to speak about the plague of darkness, Makat Hoshech. And there we see something very interesting. And the Torah tells us like this. ויט משה את ידו על השמיים, ויהי חושך אפלה בכל ארץ מצרים 3 ימים. Rashi HaKadosh says something very interesting, that the plague of Hoshech been split to two different plagues. The first part of the plagues, that means the first 3 days of Makat Hoshech, was a darkness that no one can see each other. What does it mean? That no one can see each other, no one can feel what's cooking on. And why is that? Rashi explain and bring the Midrash that in Makat Hoshech, HaKadosh Baruch Hu killed 80% of the wicked of Bnei Israel that didn't want to leave Egypt and wanted to stay in slavery, didn't want to go for freedom. HaKadosh Baruch Hu killed those wicked people, but he didn't want to embarrass them. Therefore, he created a darkness that the rest of the Bnei Israel can bury them without the Egyptian knowing. The second part of Makat Hoshech, the plague of darkness, was completely different. It was a darkness that Hoshech Kaved. What it means, Hoshech Kaved? A very thick, very heavy darkness. And Hazal explained to us that if a person was standing, for 3 days he couldn't sit. A person that was sitting couldn't stand up for 3 days. A person that was lying down couldn't get up for 3 days. And the question is, why Dafka HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Makat Hoshech created 2 different kind of kindness in 3 days? So I saw a commentary of the Al-Sheikh HaKadosh, Al-Sheikh HaKadosh, Rabbi Moshe Al-Sheikh. Rabbi Moshe Al-Sheikh, born in the city of Andripoli in Turkey 511 years ago. And he says something extraordinary. You know why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu created such darkness that the Egyptian couldn't move? He explained like this. And he said that Bnei Israel in Makat Hoshech enter all the property, all the housing, all the places of the Egyptian. Why? To check and to see where the Egyptian are hiding all their gold, silver, jewelry, diamond, and treasure. So when they leave, they can tell them, and they can't deny that they have it, because then the Jew can tell him, yes, I saw it behind your cupboard, I saw it behind your stove, I saw it here, I saw it there, I know where you're hiding. So, say Rabbi Moshe Al-Sheikh that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created such a heavy darkness that the Egyptian, on those 3 days, even if they see that the Jewish people, or can hear that the Jewish people entering their house, cannot try to resist, not try to stop the Jewish people from entering their own property, their own house, to check where they're hiding all the jewelry and the gold. Now, we say that every plague that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought on the Egyptian, there is a measure for measure. So what was the measure for measure to bring the plague of Hoshech? So Hazal teaches us in a Midrash that the Egyptian was so wicked that at night, when the Egyptian used to sit to eat, or when they used to have a feast or a party, they turned the Jewish people to become a candlestick. That means that they put the candlestick on top of their head. And not only that, the hot wick used to melt on them and burn their face, burn their head, and they couldn't move, because if they would move, the Egyptian will chop the head of Bnei Israel. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, measure for measure. You wanted light. You turn my children to become holding your candles. I'll teach you a lesson. I'll bring on you Makat Hoshech, a plague of darkness, the same like you asked them to light your darkness. Now I'm going to bring on you this kind of a darkness. In chapter 11, verse 6, we see something very interesting. The Torah here speaks about the last plague, and that's considered as the plague of Makat Bechorot, the plague of the firstborn. Let's read and we'll try to understand. והייתה צעקה גדולה בכל ארץ מצרים, אשר כמוה לא נהייתה, וכמוהו לא תוסיף. Here the Torah tells us that in the plague of the firstborn was a shout, a scream, but the Torah referred to it in Hebrew we call it Lashon Nekeva. That means that in a accent like you're speaking to, like you're referring to a woman. And the Mefarshim ask, how come that when the Torah writes Sa'aka, it's referring to a woman? The Mefarshim explain that on this plague, on Makat Bechorot, the firstborn, HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed the immorality of the Egyptian woman. And what's happened? The Mefarshim explain that in Makat Bechorot, and a plague of the firstborn, every firstborn from a father or from the mother will be died. And what's happened? In one house, suddenly they can see that more than one child died. Suddenly they realize that there is a problem here. The husband, the Egyptian husband, realized, how can it be that a wife that he living with her have more than a firstborn and more than one child died? So they start to realize that the wife having a forbidden relationship with other men, and they fell pregnant, and as a matter of fact, those child they firstborn to another man, and then they start beating their wife, and that's where the screaming comes. So here HaKadosh Baruch Hu, number one, show and expose the immorality of the Egyptian woman, said the Mefarshim. And that's why it's in the Torah Tza'aka, referring to a woman, that all the Egyptian women start screaming because their husband was beating them after they realized that they all was cheating on them. Number two, HaKadosh Baruch Hu here show that he's in control and he know exactly who's the firstborn. In many countries, people think that they know how many people there is in their countries, but they don't know who's the firstborn. Here HaKadosh Baruch Hu not only that show that he know that he's the creator, he know exactly who's the firstborn from the father and from the mother, and even to expose the immorality. And what is the measure for measure? We say that every plague have a measure for measure. Chazal tell us that the Egyptian, the plague that was the decree on the Jews to kill every male that born. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Pharaoh and his nation, you wanted to kill my own children, my own boys, I'm going to kill the firstborn on all the Egyptian. And Chazal tell us that even if it was a firstborn out of the land of Egypt, even that he wasn't in Egypt, and also that person died. Not only the firstborn of the Egyptian that was in Egypt only died, even those that wasn't in Egypt, also them go die wherever they was. So from here we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu paid the Egyptian measure for measure. They wanted to kill all the male of the Jewish people in Egypt. HaKadosh Baruch Hu killed the firstborn of them anywhere and everywhere in the world, not only in Egypt. And Be'ezrat Hashem, the same like HaKadosh Baruch Hu done those great miracles, such a beautiful miracle, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will show us, as Hazal say, Yar'enu Niflaot. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will show us those miracles and a final redemption. Please God, speedily in our day, Amen, Ken Yehi Ratzon.